Yes, good evening, everyone. Actually, sorry for the delay because there were some technical issues. I would like to invite Dr. Peshala Karyavasam to start the program.
Okay. Good evening. The Director, Institute of Indigenous Medicine, Senior Professor Priyani Paranagama Madam, our guest speaker, Mr. Buddhika Hewawasam, former Director General, Sri Lanka Institute of Tourism and Hotel Management, dear students and all the participants. It's a pleasure for me to welcome you all for the first day of the webinar series on Entrepreneurship Skill Development in Ayurveda Graduates on behalf of Career Guidance Unit, Institute of Indigenous Medicine, University of Colombo. This webinar series consists of 5 webinars, and today the topic is Ayurveda Graduate Global and Local Employment Potential. First of all, I would like to invite our Director Madam to share her visionary thoughts with all the participants. Over to you, Madam.
Thank you very much, Dr. Peshala, for giving me this opportunity to talk to and address you all. Mr. Buddhika Hewawasam, our resource person today, heads of the department, Dr. Malligoda and Professor Shifa, and also the coordinator of the Career Guidance Unit, Dr. Manori Amarajiva, all the academic staff members, and all the students who joined this webinar today, and other participants. So it gives me an honor to talk to you all today and highlight the importance of organizing such webinars. You know, in countries like Sri Lanka, it has been widely recognized that entrepreneurship development is essential. But you know, not only to solve the unemployment issue, but also to achieve you know, the high level of economic development in the country. Entrepreneurship development is very important. And at the same time, this will give you a self-satisfaction, as entrepreneurship development is like a self-employment. And you know, this entrepreneurship development will help you to you know, improve your soft skills, and it's like you learn through you know, the attending this type of webinars. You will get the exposure how to do your business while you are studying this Ayurveda or Unani study programs. And this will, you need a good exposure you know, to start and survive in the business environment. Therefore, as indigenous medical doctors, you need to know what are the opportunities that are available as an entrepreneur. And also again, we know that the unemployment is also another issue, but we know that when you know, and also if you develop your entrepreneurship skills, so you don't want to wait for you know, the government jobs. You can, until you get it, you can do yourself, you know, start your own business. So with that understanding, you know, but you know, you to start that type of self-employment, you need to know how and what skills should be developed, and you know, and also how to become a good entrepreneur. These are very important. And also, not only that, it is very important to think of what ventures available related to this indigenous medicine. So therefore, I am very sure this type of webinars give you a good exposure and also strengthen the business skills through developing entrepreneurship development, because what you do through the study program, subject matter, and also you learn how to become a good indigenous doctor. But when it comes to business and good entrepreneur, there are more other things that you need to know. There are many problems, and you should be able to learn how to solve these problems. That's like, you need to, first thing, you have to be a good entrepreneur. Then therefore you need to identify the potential skills, what should be developed, and also it should be a sustainable program, and at the same time, actually this type of entrepreneurship development should be government also should support to the students to develop their entrepreneurship as well. So I'm very sure the today's resource person will help you to or give you guidance, how and what strategies that you need to learn and use to become an entrepreneur. So our target group today is the final year students, because they are about to pass out, and then it will be very helpful, that type of webinar. This is, as Dr. Pesala mentioned, this is a series of webinar. This is the first webinar, and our research person today is Dr. Buddhika Hewawasa, former CEO and the Director General of the Sri Lanka Institute of Tourism and Hotel Management. I warmly welcome Mr. Hewawasa to this webinar today, and I really appreciate it very much accepting our invitation today to share your knowledge and experience with our final year students and all the other participants, because it's a timely needed thing, and you're going to address global and local employment potential for Ayurveda graduates, which is very helpful for our final year students as they about to pass out. I'm very sure that all of you will have a fruitful time and get the the benefit of the listening to the resource person today. I also take this opportunity to thank Dr. Manori Amarajiva as the coordinator of the Career Guidance Unit for organizing this type of valuable webinars for our students. This is very important. Even once a week is, it's okay, because they need to hear the development of this type of soft skills and know how to become a good entrepreneur. With that, I conclude my speech. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Madam, for your encouraging words. It is a great start for this webinar series. Now I would like to invite Dr. Manori Amarajiva to introduce our guest speaker today. Over to you, Madam.
Very good evening to all of you, Director Madam, and two heads of the departments and other colleagues of the staff, and also Mr. Lahiru Chamara, who is hosting the program. And I am very much, and my dear students who are the main stakeholders in this webinar. I'm very much glad to introduce Mr. Buddhika Hewawasam, who is the major resource person for the today's webinar, as well as for first 4 webinars of the series, because he will be delivering you the potentials that we have and on different topics regarding this market in tourism. So let me introduce him. Actually, he's currently the head of the division of holidays division of Sri Lankan Airlines, but he was the former CEO or Director General of the Institute of Tourism and Hotel Management, and he was working there till 2019. And Mr. Buddhika Hewawasam is a very experienced professional. If I bring you back to his time of studies, he was graduated in the management discipline from Sabaragamu University, and then he has joined to our university, University of Colombo, and pursue his MBA in marketing, and also without stopping there, he's continuously developing his skills and knowledge to deliver his best to the country's development. And he's also having a very good experience in aviation industry because he has been a Director General in the Deputy General Manager of Sri Lanka Aviation College, one of the largest, I think the largest aviation training academy in Sri Lanka. In his experience of aviation academy, actually he was a very good leader promoting the aviation academy to its best during his time. So he has won several awards. His institute has won several awards, and also he has won awards, and he was one of the award winner of Australian award for the sustainable tourism. He's very much experienced in tourism. So I think he will give a broader view in tourism and how we can get the best out of it as Ayurveda graduates. So I think it's very much important for you today's session, and please maintain please keep attention to throughout this session, because you have to write a reflection on this webinar and also for the whole webinar series. And at the end, we will ask you to submit another assignment as well. If you complete all these requirements, you can get the certificate. I have sent you all the information. So I think this will be a very fruitful event for you. Over to you, Mr. Buddhika Hewawasam.
Thank you very much, Dr. Manori Amarajiva, and also let me thank the Director of IIM, Senior Professor Priyani Paranagama, and the academic staff who are being involved in this project, as well as the students who are in this webinar. Actually, I consider this as an opportunity for me to look at your professional area in a different perspective. And probably we ought to be contributed to the development of the country, as Professor Paranagama rightly mentioned and highlighted. The entrepreneurial vigor of all the disciplines is what we have been looking for. And I think Ayurvedic graduates in this country has an immense role to play beyond the traditional means that they are in right now. So in this webinar, subsequently the next few webinars, we are looking at the potential in various industries. I will bring my particular purviews, knowledge, and the contextual backgrounds of tourism, as well as the other subject areas. But more importantly, you can always be given a kind of a chance to ask questions. And at the end of the particular webinar, please feel free to clarify things if you are not being clarifying any matter. And also I've been trying to simplify the things that what I've been like say discussing beyond the particular the academic grounds of yours. But let's see how practical. What we want is not a kind of a theoretical kind of webinar itself, but to be practiced what we have been preaching in here, or what we have been mentioned here, and what we have been trying to explain here need to be in practice. So I've been trying to motivate you towards that as well. So let's begin the webinar with that intention. So please be very open-minded. So this is a session facilitated to the final year university students. So I expect you to ask many questions, get things clarified, and getting things in a kind of a more comprehensive manner. So I'm there to support on my angle and my view, but you can always challenge me, you can always ask questions. So let's start the webinar. Let me share the slides, and along with the slides we'll explain the things. Is my slides visible to all of you? I've been seeing the slides, and am I being clearly audible?
Yes, of course.
Right. Okay. So with the discussion I had with Dr. Manori, we were decided to place this webinar as local and global employment opportunities for Ayurvedic graduates. So Ayurveda graduates, rather than being like looking the particular limitations of the country, we are right now living in a globalized environment. And you know, Ayurveda itself has been reaching global heights all over the world. There is a kind of a revolution towards herbal products, and the herbal and a kind of a different lifestyle which consists of many elements. So broadly we are looking at that particular areas, and we will be like in this webinar, if you have been like framing the webinar, it will be first looking at the local potential, and then going beyond the local potential, we will be look at how you can connect globally, even within the particular limits that you are having right now. So let me first frame who these Ayurvedic graduates are and whom we have been talking about. In Sri Lanka, as far as my little research, there are 4 universities which is offering Ayurvedic graduates. Please correct me if I'm being wrong. And primarily it is Institute of Indigenous Medicine of University of Colombo, which offers BAMS and BUMS degrees, Bachelor of Ayurvedic and Bachelor of Unani Medical and Surgery degrees. And then Gampaha Wickramarachchi University of Indigenous Medicine, again offering BAMS degrees. And University of Jaffna, which offers Bachelor of Siddha Medicine and Surgery. And also Eastern University's Trinco campus offering BSMS degrees. So approximately every year, we are actually graduating approximately about 300 doctors who are being like say conferred with this qualification plus medical council registration, annually around 300, and we are taking an intake of 400 students each year, majorly to IIM and then to the other universities. I heard that, I see Gampaha Wickramarachchi University of Indigenous Medicine is being currently established and being expanded their parameters beyond the Ayurveda as well. So as per my research, your degree is one of the degrees which has the undergraduate programs which has largest time duration. It is approximately 6 years with 5 years of studies, so the classroom studies or academic studies, plus 1 year of internship, which you've been conferred as a medical doctor. So in one angle, this is very comprehensive and very deep program, a degree program. On the other angle, it actually costs, I think, the government a considerable lot of money. So if we underutilize a graduate who's been passed out from IIM or like any other kind of Ayurvedic university in our university system, it is actually kind of waste of our good resources. So we do have a kind of a responsibility towards making these graduates fruitful to the country and our economy. On the Ayurvedic medical system, on the other hand, this is where the degree awarding bodies are being laid up, or like say established. On the other angle, you do have the Ayurvedic medical system well established. I think around 1930s onward, the government Ayurvedic medical system is being established under the Ministry of Health. And then the Department of Ayurveda. According to research, it is little difficult to find statistics, and I don't worry too much about the statistics. So because you are more professional and more aware about those statistics than me, there are about 90 government hospitals and 4,000 beds in the Ayurvedic hospital system. Approximately 2,000 doctors in the government sector. Around 3,000 to 4,000 people. There's one Ayurvedic doctor. And there are about 5,000 registered Ayurvedic medical graduates coming out of the universities within this Ayurvedic Medical Council. Other than that, the Ayurvedic medical graduates, indigenous medical practitioners are also registered there. There are about 25,000 people registered there. So, along with that, what do we see? There is an association called, say, Unemployed Ayurvedic Graduates, Medical Graduates Association, which claims in 2020 there's about nearly 670 Ayurveda graduates were not being recruited for last 3 years. I heard that there are about 170 odd people were being recruited in 2021, but the story is there are about another 500 odd people who were not being recruited yet, and we do see there are so many protests were being happen and all these kind of things are being happen, and that itself is been showing these graduates are being having an employment problem. What we need to understand, or the particular say moral of the story, is Ayurvedic graduates are having a kind of a unemployment problem after they have been graduated. Maybe there is a kind of a time lapse of 3 years or 4 years. That means there's another 300 doctors are being passed out every year and being adding into the system. So that is the problem. That is the exact particular say issue that we need to be looked at in this particular other job potential. So this is where the government Ayurvedic system is being laid with, and this is how the particular graduates are being fared after they've been passed out from the universities. So if you think about the context of the other countries, I think the birthplace of Ayurveda is India, and there the Ayurvedic medical system is very well established. But also when you're being looking at certain research papers about the Ayurveda graduates and their employability, even in India, the particular problem is being prevailing. But Nepal, in that context, is very much ahead there. But more than 70 to 80% of the population is practicing Ayurvedic medicine, or like say using Ayurvedic medicine in their particular elements. So in that context, the Ayurveda's popularity as well as the involvement is very high. And then you see all over the globe, there is a kind of revival of Ayurvedic medicine, which people are looking for a kind of a healthy, organic and herbal-oriented lifestyle, right? And there are massive Ayurvedic hospital network, even in India. If you think about my industry, the tourism, I do involve very much into outbound tourism. And when the outbound tourism is being happened, that means tourists going from Sri Lanka to abroad, one of the most attractive tourist destinations in India is Kerala. And there are many people go to Kollam, Alappuzha and all these kind of places for treatment plus holiday. That's what we call as health tourism or medical tourism. So there is a kind of a considerable improvement in that area in India. So then Ayurvedic pharmaceutical industry, you see like there's a kind of massive demand for Ayurvedic pharmaceuticals, Ayurvedic drugs plus healthcare products and the lifestyle products all over the world. And then there's a massive health and wellness tourism industry all over emerging. Even in Sri Lanka, to a certain extent, you can see this particular industry is being emerging. And then the Ayurvedic lifestyle companies of various sorts, from health teas to the food supplements, the beverages, detoxifying agents, the healing, the spiritual agents, and all those kind of things, right? So the global Ayurvedic market was about 3 billion in 2019, and the expectations are it to be reached $7 billion US within next few years of time, next 4 years of time. And we can see average annual growth of 11% in this particular market. So in one angle, you see the particular input side, the human resource development side is struggling in Sri Lanka to find suitable job opportunities. But on other angle, if you think about the global focus and the regional focus, there's an immense growth in this sector. So that is something which is interesting to be explored further. So that's what we are being trying to look at. If you think about the particular traditional pathway or the employment path for the graduates in Sri Lanka, not only in Ayurveda, but in many other sectors, the particular local university graduates are preferred the particular state employee. And the Ayurvedic healthcare is an established system, and people are very much born to get state employment. That is one of the key traditional paths that people are looked at. And then there are Ayurvedic hospital system established in Sri Lanka. There are limited opportunities on those hospitals as well. And that is where people are traditionally going on. Obviously, you've been passed out as a kind of Ayurvedic medical doctor, and then you're being absorbed by the Ayurvedic healthcare industry or the particular medical industry itself. And then some of them are being practicing Ayurvedic medicine individually. And there's a shift for the other industries also. Maybe you see that certain Ayurvedic doctors passed out from IIM as well as many other places became the consultants, spokespersons, and the particular, say, advisors of various healthcare firms, the health tea producers, the beauty cultural products, and all these kind of places, right? So the key question is, since that you are final year students, what is your choice after the graduation? Are you also being contributed to the particular current flow of or current demand for government opportunities, or are you being like, say, trying to practice on your own, or being like going towards the Ayurvedic pathway itself purely, or are you being looking of being integrating that pathway to somewhere else? So let's see, beyond the particular traditional means, what are the non-traditional means which we see in this industry, right? So in one aim, like say very highly what we have been looked at is health tourism. In Sri Lanka, though health tourism is very much in place, it is still having a kind of a massive potential to grow. And in all over the world, if you think about the highest growth segment in tourism itself, is health and wellness tourism. And you know, with this particular COVID pandemic and all other kind of the concerns that people are having about health, the segment which is being growing after the particular tourism opening is being happening is health tourism itself. There will be a massive demand in future for health tourism. So non-traditional pathway, the health tourism is providing massive amount of job opportunities. Even right now, there are Ayurvedic spas. There are various Ayurvedic resorts and hotels, maybe Jetwing Ayurvedic Pavilion, the Barbary, the Siddhale, Payur, and other kind of spas and things like that, which offers a kind of a massive array of products to tourists, mainly the European, the Central European, as well as the Western tourists, and subsequently even to the Far East and the Middle Eastern pathways. If you think about the Kerala, is one of the key classical examples that we can use to understand how the health tourism is being grown. The numbers of Kerala, the particular numbers reaching Kerala every year is exactly similar to the numbers reaching Sri Lanka for entire tourism. So the tourists going into Kerala are mainly going for the particular health tourism purposes. So what kind of jobs that Ayurvedic graduates doing in health tourism sector? Right now they became kind of advisors, the physicians, doctors, and they're being employed by the particular industry itself. And then Ayurvedic pharmaceutical industry, even in Sri Lanka, there is an established traditional Ayurvedic pharmaceutical industry and an upcoming industry itself. There are certain foreign investments came in place. I think Daba is being also invested in Sri Lanka to a certain extent. And there are many other kind of pharmaceuticals are invested in Sri Lankan Ayurvedic industries, and there are upcoming pharmaceuticals as well. Then the Ayurvedic lifestyle market, which is the growing and one of the biggest marketplaces that you can see. Even within the country itself, most of the people are seeking for kind of Ayurvedic remedies, kind of detoxifying agents, kind of healing agents, and going away from the allopathic medical means, especially for the non-infectious diseases, as well as the particular day-to-day ailments. People are more or less are going into the Ayurvedic pathway. And then there are spiritual and healing sciences. If you think about naturopathy, homeopathy, yoga, and such kind of elements are very much interconnected with Ayurveda. So it is creating some kind of a holistic mental and physical wellness system, which people are already involved. If you think about certain hotels like the Teva residencies in Kandy, which has been selling their hotels or hotel rooms of very high price before the pandemic, are actually integrated those things. Ayurvedic healing, the food, plus the particular lifestyle elements, yogas and meditation and things of that sort. And also if you think about the properties like berberine are going into spiritual and wellness tourism. So all are interconnected. So you see that non-traditional pathway is very much growing than the traditional pathway. Yes, we do need preventive medicine. We need medical care. But considering the ugly truth in Sri Lanka, allopathic medicine is dominated the medical, or like say healthcare sphere and the domain in Sri Lanka, while the non-traditional means are having limitless growth, right? So that is something, again, you can look at. What is your choice after the graduation in these particular places? So from here beyond, these are the two means which I've been trying to develop my my rationale, as well as been providing some proposals to you to look at the particular opportunities. So let's take few cases which is relevant to that. I think all of you, or maybe most of you, know there is a ministry in India called Ministry of Ayush. Any of you who can help me by telling what Ayush means? This is a ministry established in 2014 under the Prime Minister Modi's government in order to promote the holistic healthcare systems in India. What does Ayush mean? Ayush is an acronym using for denoting this ministry. What exactly is Ayush? Any of you? Anybody who knows about this particular setup? So Ayush means Ayurveda, Yoga, Unani, Siddha and Homeopathy. And also they are including naturopathy into this particular system. You see, in Sri Lanka, we are establishing ministries first time in the history in non-traditional means, and people are criticizing it. But in India, you can see a kind of a very well established government setup is being established in order to integrate those areas. Ayurveda, Unani and Siddha is three medical professions and the traditions which is very well established. But homeopathy, naturopathy and yoga is being included there to get the highest benefit of it. I being like inviting you at least to visit this ministry's website. You will see how established it is and how deep they worked in. There are guidelines for each of those areas for the COVID pandemic. And there are many other kind of ways how to establish the businesses in this path. They integrated each other on that and all these kind of lines. And there are massive amount of statistics. Actually, sorry to say, in Sri Lanka, we will be having a kind of lack of being finding exact statistics related to those areas, which is vital for making decisions. Even for you to individually start a business, you need to make a kind of a decision. And you need to be like focused on a kind of a right target market. So to do so, you need statistics. But in this Ayush platform, if you've been like going there, you can see how this non-traditional means of Ayurveda is being well established and growing all over India. If you are being like, is this particular statistics given in visible, is visible to you, you will see how many practitioners have been there, how many patients they've been looked at. India is a kind of real big country, but at the same time, there's a massive amount of growth in those sectors, right? So that growth shows us something. To integrate these particular medical sciences, spirituality, wellness, healing, and all these kind of things together. Because as far as my little understanding about Ayurveda is not only about like preventive medicine, but it has a kind of a massive amount of lifestyle science behind it. Maybe astrology, maybe kind of elements on the spirituality, maybe something on yoga and all these kind of things, and natural, or like say lifestyle behind it. That means like if you've been reading Charaka Samhita and all, there are so many Vaggas helping you on connecting all these elements. And it gives massive amount of demand to match it with the particular Western lifestyle, which is already degraded, already depressed, already been like having healthcare problems and all these kind of things. And they were looking for some kind of new solutions. And Ministry of Ayush is being ideally looked for these particular new solutions. And these solutions are integrated together. Maybe the plant-based medicines in one angle, the lifestyle in other angle, the yoga is connected to the other angle. And that gives a kind of a holistic approach for people to grow. So if you think about the Ayush, I've been like using this word simultaneously to Ayurveda in here. In this particular growth in India is created a kind of 9 billion worth of health tourism business to India. And there's about 180 million USD worth of drugs in Ayurvedic pharmaceuticals exported from India. That means it became a kind of a massive industry itself, which generates a lot of income and which actually create massive amount of employment opportunities as well as the business opportunities for Ayurvedic graduates. You must be well heard about these particular names like Daba, Himalaya, and very recently even the Patanjali. Those kind of Ayurvedic brands and drug manufacturers are now world renowned. If you go to internet, if you go to any healthcare stores, even in USA, even through the particular, say, healthcare network in established countries, you can purchase those particular drugs. And that actually generate huge amount of foreign income and related industries as well. Making herbal drugs, making Ayurvedic drug means you have to grow them as well. Then the herbal farming is being grown. And then there are third-party drug manufacturers and the branded manufacturers as well. So then there are initial domestic level professionals to make drugs. There is an industry to be open, right? So there's a massive growth which you can inspire and look at the new opportunities. Because like in entrepreneurship or in business management, we don't actually preach about reinventing the wheel. You don't need to be the first person to reinvent something which is being already invented. If it is being invented in India or wherever, and if we can inspire from that, I don't think any harm of being inspiring from that. There are, in this particular established Ayurvedic industry, you can get so many business ideas. You can get so many other kind of integration which can be practiced very easily in Sri Lanka and which will be resultant very fast. And then let's look at the second case of Ayurvedic tourism in Sri Lanka. I think from 1970s onward, Ayurvedic tourism is prevailing in the country. And the pioneers like Barbarin in Kalutara and then Siddhalepa spas and various other kind of resorts come into this market. And it is increasingly popular. And even the conventional hotels are right now offering Ayurvedic solutions. If you go into most of the particular 5-star resorts in Sri Lanka and the boutique hotels, are actually offering consultative services through Ayurvedic physicians and offering certain herbal medicines plus herbal massages, the particular kind of Shirodhara and other kind of oil therapies, and so many other kind of options have been there. And two properties which is being shown here, the Barbarin is being expanded its wings to 4 different resorts within the southern coast, which has a kind of a huge demand. And also Siddhalepa Ayurveda is going beyond Sri Lanka, and they actually operate their spas in Germany, Austria and many other countries on a kind of a franchise manner. So you can see that globalizing Ayurveda from Sri Lanka is being already happened. in the front of tourism. So beauty of this particular industry is that it's actually attracted high income passengers, and they are staying a large duration. If you think about in Sri Lanka, one of the biggest problems that we see in tourism is that we get tourists who are spending very less. You be like considered as backpackers who's coming into Colombo, and various numbers of Indian tourists coming in here. We'll get flocks of it. We get 2.3 million tourists in 2017, but at the same time, this particular number does not carry the revenue that we need to be generated in the industry. What happens is these people are being like, say, just wandering around, seeing places, but not spending. But if you think about Ayurvedic tourism, the expenditure of these tourists are very high. At least they spend about $300, which is against the $78 to $88 in Sri Lanka's normal tourist expenditure, which is, I think, like 2 to 3 folds higher spent by the Ayurvedic tourists. And the other thing is they're actually staying in a higher duration. Like normally in Sri Lanka, people who are coming into Sri Lanka will stay about 10 to 11 days. But the Ayurvedic tourists are minimally staying in 14 days. As an example, if you've been taking these Barbary resorts, they will not allow tourists if they don't agree to stay 14 days. And mind you, their occupancy level is 80% at the good times. And even just after the particular attacks happened in Saharan's attack, just after that, when the tourism is being open, they will get 80% occupancy back. What happened is they create a kind of a local consumer segments in Japan as well as in Germany, Austria, and such kind of places who were actually first-hand experiencing the healing power of Ayurveda. And these resorts are very famous. And these are one good area where our tourism can develop without being prone to other social factors. Even the particular, the rain has been there, even the particular social, economic conditions are bad, or maybe that war is being undergoing and all these kind of things, tourists will again attracted to Sri Lanka through these type of ventures. So one example, one specimen which we use as a kind of case study in here is Barbary, which is, if you go to this resort, it is a kind of real basic resort itself. There are particular, say, Barbary resort in Kalutara is a kind of a 3-star nature property with very focus on Ayurveda. What they do is like they are providing it like it's exactly similar to Ayurvedic hospital in some cases, right? They provide proper Ayurveda, proper treatments, and they don't even need to have kind of a bar in their place and also a kitchen using meats and fishes. Meat actually, not fish, but they are very cost effective in that manner as well. So you create a kind of a healthy lifestyle and you generate higher income and higher revenue through tourism, and you are having a kind of loyal segment of tourists which is not being affected with other particular impacts and factors. So that kind of Ayurvedic tourism is prevailing in our country, and that kind of loyal market segments are being created in Europe to us through that. If you go to the southern coast, most of the Ayurvedic resorts which genuinely does this particular practice are very much attracted by the tourist. And then we see a lot of Ayurvedic graduates passed out from IIM as well as the other universities are worked in there. But my question is, how many Ayurvedic graduates passed out from IIM in this case, or any other kind of universities, say that we are taking last 20 years, how many of them owns tourism or health tourism or Ayurvedic tourism ventures in Sri Lanka? Is it proportionate? Is it like justifiable? Is the question. So if you've been like thinking about most of the resort, yes, Ayurvedic physicians are having jobs there, are having employment there under certain tourism entrepreneurs. But at the same time, only very few going beyond that particular level and making themselves Ayurvedic tourism entrepreneurs. So the second question which is being highlighted here, how many Ayurvedic graduates own such ventures in Sri Lanka, is something which we need to revisit and look at seriously. And on the other hand, you see there's a kind of growing herbal industry from year to the 1990s beyond within the country. We actually see a kind of a huge demand for herbal healthcare, the beauty care, the herbal teas, healing teas, and all these kind of things. And certain herbal brands became family names. If you think about upmarket Sri Lanka or the particular upper middle class metropolitan Sri Lanka, Spa Ceylon became a very familiar name, which they are being like very much used in their formulas and connect editions and all these kind of things on skin as well as perfumes and things of that sort. And Nature Secrets became a family name all over Sri Lanka. And people have been like very much using Nature Secret products from face washes and all these things. And Link Natural product, I think even they are producing the particular Ayurvedic karishtas, kashayas and all sort of things. Plus they do consumer herbals, medicines and all these things and the beauty care products as well. So these brands are very well established within last 20 years of time. If you think about, because my academic research are mainly in marketing management and the brand management, and certain brands are having very high brand value. Nature Secrets have a kind of a considerably high brand value, and the Link Natural products and the Spa Ceylon, they are the newly emerged millennial brands of this country. And they are all belongs some way or other to Ayurveda. And ironically, if you go deep into those kind of brands, take an example of Nature Secret. The entrepreneur behind Nature Secret was not an Ayurvedic doctor. He, I think, he's been coming from a chemistry background and who's been making actually the chemical products, actually not the herbal products. Their main income generated at that time is chemical-based cleaning agents, chemical-based whatever, the floor cleaners and all those kind of products. And then they converted into Ayurveda. Even you think about Link Natural product, I think the owner of the Link Natural product is Dr. Devapriya Nugavela. He started Link as a construction company and then being converted into a herbal product manufacturer. Spa Ceylon is a kind of different example. The beauty care, beautician and the beauty care product creator, Janet Balasuri is behind Spa Ceylon, and then the next generation is being took over. But none of them are Ayurvedic graduates. And they hired Ayurvedic graduates to make these particular products. And they need Ayurvedic graduates because these formulas are somehow or other is being connected to the Ayurvedic pharmacopoeia and the pharmacology and all these kind of aspects. And again, the same question occurs. If they need your professional support and if they need you to survive, and you are being like providing all the professional support, the competencies and everything into those industries, aren't you in a better position to be successful more than them within the particular same environment? If somebody coming from a chemistry background or somebody coming from an engineering background or if somebody coming from a marketing background is being established as a kind of the Ayurvedic healthcare producer or Ayurvedic tourism venture owner, why not Ayurvedic graduates can do the same thing? Is a key question that you need to be asked from yourself. Is that the particular marketing conditions and the environment is infeasible only for Ayurvedic graduates? Can't be the fact, no. So there are all particular parties which we have been talking about came through the same pathway like you and me. They were being start small, they were being growing, and they grow in some alien industries. That is the fact. That means that they don't know Ayurveda primarily, but they hired the Ayurvedic professionals to create their particular brands. And there are many other examples that you can show, but these are only 3 very well established brands in Sri Lanka. Even you study those, you will be see how many Ayurvedic physicians supporting them, advise them, and be like, say, consultative capacity they are working there. But the ownership remains in the hands of somebody who's non-Ayurvedic people. I'm not be like blaming them or I'm not be saying it is wrong. But I do see something drastically wrong of Ayurvedic physicians and the graduates are not in this industry while they are being unemployed. So on all that, what are we been looking for is an entrepreneurial pathway. So entrepreneurial pathway means you be like need to be start very very sophisticated highly, or maybe like say with all these kind of capital and everything in place, or can you be start primarily with the resources available for you all? As an example, Ayurvedic third-party manufacturing is very famous all over the world. You can be like, say, depend on some manufacturer somewhere, and if you're a physician, you will be consulting them, you will be telling them to produce something on that ground and make it to the world. Right now, making a product to the world is not a big deal. I can give you an example. There was a kind of investment bank in Sri Lanka. This is a real life story, and this brand I will tell you later was actually what he does is like he go and be like fix a contract in a kind of supermarket chain in UK, and they were being agreed to buy herbal healthcare products from him if these herbal healthcare products are being carrying certain certificates. What he did, he came back to Sri Lanka and be like, say, given that contract, saying that he will be buying that amount of herbal care products from a particular manufacturer in this country, very specifically Link Natural Products. Right? So he said, you can't brand it as Link, but you have to brand it in the way I want, but with these certificates. And they were so agreed because the capacity and the amount that he's being asking for is very much business feasible. So he's supplying that to the supermarket chains like Marks and Spencer and all these kind of places. And he created his own brand without owning a manufacturing facility, neither having a kind of marketing facility. He's just a middleman who's doing this job. And this brand right now is what he does is like it brand grows so well, and brand's name is Earth Essence. Actually, this Earth Essence brand is again, he went back to Link and saying like, okay, my brand is this much of a value right now. Why don't you buy it back? And he sold the brand back to Link Natural Products. What he did, he sell Link Natural Products, original products to some supermarket chain. You do be a middleman, be a moderator, and you created a kind of marketplace. You create your own brand and you sold the brand, make the money out of it. I'm not be saying that is what Ayurvedic graduates should do, but at the same time, there are entrepreneurial paths which people are be using. So you don't want to have a kind of factories, you don't want to have a kind of a facilities of your own to market something. You can make it manufactured by third-party facilities. There are larger manufacturers in Sri Lanka who are willing to manufacture those for you under the particular conditions as well as the guarantees and the quality assurance of yours, right? And on the other hand, all Ayurvedic drugs are manufactured primarily from plant sources. And then herbal farming became a kind of a real mean of income. So if you think about it, Sri Lanka.
Excuse me, Mr. Buddhika, there's a noise coming. I think just better to check your devices.
Might be mine. Yeah. Is it clear right now, Manori?
Now it is not clear. I don't know.
Am I being audible at this?
There's a noise coming actually.
Am I clear right now?
Not yet. How about, dear students, how about you? Can you all hear it properly?
Manori, am I audible?
Yeah, you are audible, but with a noise. Dr. Peshala, can you hear? It may be
Manori, am I audible right now?
Yes, it's audible, but there is a noise coming.
Yeah, there's a noise. Maybe with your...
Hello? Am I clear right now?
No, I think if you remove your and just use the computer audio.
Is it clear right now? This is through my...
Still it is there actually. Mr. Lahiru, is it possible to do something for that?
Is it clear right now?
No, still that noise is there.
Am I clear?
Now it is okay, I think.
Is it? All right, okay, thanks. So sorry for the interruption created by the devices. So basically what I've been talking about is the opportunities that you will be getting if you go into the entrepreneurial pathway. So third-party manufacturing is one big entrepreneurial path itself, and then the herbal farming. Actually, since that Ayurvedic drugs are primarily produced using herbs, that means somebody need to grow those herbs. And herb growing became a kind of a real big business. If you think about in India, herbal farming became a kind of a huge business, and with lower cost. Even in Sri Lanka, you see a lot of moringa plantations. If you go to arid zones, the dry zone areas and all, the moringa is considered as a superfood in other countries. And there's a huge export demand. Actually, you see that moringa price in Sri Lanka's market is very high right now because of the fact that it is being exported primarily. So such kind of pathways is easily pursued with little agriculture knowledge, little capital, and if you have a piece of land, you will be able to pursue this path. And even with investments, can be easily get through the particular interest-free as well as low-interest loans through many financial institutions. And then there are other paths which has been developed along with the technology. If you think about the digital technology, it creates a huge marketplace for almost all the products and services. And Ayurveda is not been excluded. Actually, Ayurveda telemedicine platforms are very much famous in the world right now. Even to be reserved, the physicians, the telemedicine pathways, consultatives and all are very easily established through little knowledge about digital platforms. And there are parties who can be hired, the technical and IT parties. And that will also create a kind of a huge business itself. Then the herbal pharmacies, which has been selling their goods through Amazon, all these kind of places, and created their own websites, which creates new avenue of business. So entrepreneurial pathway does not mean that you need to do something extremely innovative and doing something which others are not been doing. You can use the existing means and connecting them in an innovative manner and created a kind of a huge impact to the society as well as generate income through that. So entrepreneurial pathway is something very much feasible right now for the Ayurvedic graduates. And unlike any other profession, the particular massive demand and the growth which I've been shown you earlier is something which can be exploited only through Ayurvedic graduates. Only Ayurvedic graduates is knowing about those holistic medical practices, the herbal medicines, the drugs which is being demanded for ailment. It is all about connecting your profession into some other managerial skills and areas. Probably a little bit of marketing, probably a little bit of business planning skills and the decision making skills, probably a little bit of finance will help you to come out of this particular frame and the box that you think that the employment opportunities are only in traditional paths. So that's what we have been seriously need to look at. So if you think about the Ayurvedic graduates entrepreneurial path, so we have been talking about three paths, the traditional pathway of state employments and the Ayurvedic medical practicing. Yes, it is growing, but not in the level that we want it to be grow, because there are so many other socio-economic factors hindering the growth of the government Ayurvedic medical system, plus the particular popularity of Ayurvedic medicine in the mainframe population as a medical practice. It actually needs a lot of other interventions for it to grow, like a ministry like Ayush in India and some kind of other interventions need to be there. As an example, with the COVID pandemic, we see the particular role that Ayurvedic physicians are playing at the initial level, offering certain amount of remedies, offering certain amount of home remedies and things like that. But at the mid, you don't see Ayurvedic physicians and you don't talk about Ayurveda on the particular pathway. But if you go into India, you see the Ayush particular website and all, there are even certain certified drugs. I don't know how the efficacy is, but at the same time, they were being like actually approved and actually given permission to do so. But so traditional pathway is something which is beyond our control. That's what I want to highlight. And you think about the non-traditional pathways, being employees is an option that you have, but it has its own limits. Is it like giving you the fullest particular height, it will give you the fullest opportunity. Will it be like reaching your fullest potential? Or else are you be like going to work under somebody for entire lifetime of yours? Is a question. But if you go into the entrepreneurial pathway, it itself is unlimited business opportunities global. And the global reach right now is very easy through the means that I being talked about you earlier. There are so many outsourcing options, so many digital options, so many distribution options all over the world, even locally and globally. Even in Sri Lanka, if you want to deliver a product from one particular place to another place in the country, it is just about $300 to deliver through grasshoppers or Boomi or whatsoever. So that's why Daras and all these kind of parties are very famous in the country. So Ayurvedic drugs or Ayurvedic remedies and the supplements can easily be distributed on digital means itself. And there's a massive local and global demand. And on the other hand, you are having superior theoretical and practical knowledge, which none of us are being having. Me being a marketer, me being a tourism professional, I just can't preach Ayurveda, I can't practice it. It's you only can do that. But your knowledge is being utilized by many other people. And it's a question whether you are being utilizing it for the fullest benefit of yours. And then the researching capabilities that you have will give you a kind of opportunity of integrating those. I know, like, say, Ayurveda has been going together with yoga, going together with indigenous medical practicing, going together with naturotherapy and all these kind of things, which can be linked very easily. And then the certification bodies and the authorities are part and parcel of your system, which you've been like learned as well. And there are many helping hands in the country. Whatever the government it is, whatever the regime it is, all the governments are supporting entrepreneurs. There are so many loan schemes with very less interest rates, so many consultative schemes in the world. Even in Sri Lanka, through Asian Development Bank, World Bank, and the local banking system, the governments, everybody supports entrepreneurial ventures. And there are so many other non-government networks to support it as well. But with all that, Sri Lanka is one of the countries which has lowest graduate entrepreneurial intention. The intention of graduate to be entrepreneurial is extremely low in this particular part. And it is pathetic with people who has technical skills, people who are spending 6 years of time, their particular youth in the university system, are waiting another 3 years just for the fact that they are not being getting a job from the government. Which I think, like, say, I'm not been talking about whether it is right or wrong on the government pathway, but you might be questioned on your own, going in front of a mirror and questioning yourself, can I do something better than that within that 3 years of time? That might be the question that we might need to be looked at, right? So people, why they didn't become entrepreneurial are having various answers, various reasons. And more or less, there's a kind of big attitudinal problem here in Sri Lanka. The conventional wisdom and the common sense of Sri Lanka is against entrepreneurs. And they think that entrepreneurs are mudalalis, entrepreneurs are businessmen, entrepreneurs are not contributed to the society, which is actually the total opposite is very right. That means they are the people who've been contributed to the society very much. So conventional wisdom or common sense is being encouraging people. If you are a professional, you have to work for somebody's firm. If you are a professional, you have to be like recruited by government, or you have to be recruited by private sector, and you will be established in a position and get a stable salary. You don't think beyond that, and you are only thinking about incremental growth, not a revolutionary kind of growth. And then most people have been thinking business as a disgrace to the profession, thinking that the profession does not match with the business. Making money out of the profession is something can only be done through the profession and not the means of business. Is a particular mentality that people are having to a very great extent. Then there's an overwhelming attitude about the risk and the failure of the business if we've been going into it. And then primarily this overwhelming attitude is because of the fact that most of the graduates, other than the managerial graduates of this country, are not being having much management knowledge unless that they do their own professional programs on their own. So people are very much unaware how to mitigate the risk, how to mitigate the failure, and how to be successful in your business. And then whenever we want to be like going into any profession or look at something new and be like entering into a new market or industry, we need to have kind of massive level of flexibility. Unfortunately, most of us are not being having a flexibility of that sort. We think that our profession and its frame is what we need to live in. We argue with people, we fight with people, we are be like, say, trying to prove the fact without seeing the particular things in the other people's viewpoint. And we are not flexible. We are like just bounded to the particular path casted to us by somebody else. And we think this is like casted in iron and you can't just bend it, right? And then on other angle, there is a capability in learning and development, which we have been talking about, called unlearning. Whenever you learn something, there is a time period, there is a kind of a requirement for you to unlearn it. We know like learning capabilities and learning skills which we learn from our childhood onward until that we die. But at the same time, unlearning is also a skill that you need to practice. Whatever the particular conception, belief, the values, the particular things that we acquired throughout the time period has to be unlearned at some point. Otherwise, you will not be able to get new knowledge and aspire that new knowledge to develop yourself. So unlearning capability is very much important as well. So the primary question I have in my mind regarding Ayurveda graduates is why Ayurveda graduates prefer to be employees rather than the employers, which they have all the capability of employing other people and making themselves entrepreneurs and doing very successfully to the country as well as to themselves. They were prefer to be employees in any other places, either the government or private sector, or tourism industry, or wherever the industry. So that is one key question which emerged from all this discussion. So to you to ponder something, like you to be inspired a little bit, let me like say discuss 3 cases in here, which is given with this particular 3 brands. One brand here is Lassana Flora. Any of you know who owns Lassana Flora? Anybody who knows a little bit about business? Lassana Flora is one of the largest floral decorator in the country who owns their own flower farms as well, and machineries and shops and everything. Who owns Lassana Flora?
An allopathic doctor, no? Yeah.
An allopathic doctor, actually a specialist, one of the primary psychologists in this country. He's Lasantha Malavige, and he's actually the husband of Professor Neelika Malavige, which is very famous these days, right? So he's an allopathic doctor, not only an allopathic doctor, one of the pioneer sexologists in the country who's practicing the medicine as well, and owning Lassana Flora. What happened is at his university time, when the universities are being closed and all, he's being entering into this business and it grows to that level, right? And I don't know whether the second brand is very famous, but it is considerably famous brand in Sri Lanka, Royal Cashew Nuts, right? And Royal Cashew Nut is actually owned by one of my classmates. Royal is our school, and he is Dr. Ruan Wathugala, who's actually working in, I think right now in Sidua Hospital, and he's also a physician who did medical allopathic medicine, and he started this cashew business when he's in medical college. So you see, these allopathic doctors can very well be like, say, confine them into the allopathic profession or doing something in relation with that. But those 2 things, selling cashew nuts and selling flowers, is nothing to do with their profession. But they do it, and they do it very successfully, and even more successful than the businessmen who are being originally in it. So that is something that you need to be relooked at. And apart from that, I found one of the Ayurvedic doctors who is actually extremely successful and own his own resort property in Anuradhapura, plus a kind of a very successful medical practice, which he is like doing this particular telemedicine and online medicine to a very great extent right now. That gentleman's name is Dr. Sarath Somasiri Gunawardena, or Dr. Gunawardena, who is actually diploma holder of IIM. I think you might be heard about him and you might be even deal with him. But what I want to highlight is he creates his own brand, Aditya, as well as he is being established a kind of a state-of-art Ayurvedic treatment center, which attracts a lot of locals as well as foreigners. So you see, that was like, at that time, I think you had a kind of diploma program, no, DA, Diploma in Ayurvedic Medical and Surgery, DAMS, is it? So a person passed out from that and very successfully being ventured in this area. So what does it shows? There are so many other professionals whom you may not think of that they will do this kind of business, are in this business already, are in entrepreneurial ventures already. It is all about the attitude which we need to be changed. So you see, like allopathic doctors like Lasantha Malavige as well as Ruwan Vatugala and various other kind of people are doing businesses which is from totally opposite from their particular profession. Does that mean that they are degraded as professionals? No, they are very much in their profession. They are very much practicing their profession as well. So all Ayurvedic graduates also having the same vigor. Say, sometimes what we have been saying in entrepreneurship in Sri Lanka is there are certain accidents happening in your life which you are being like pressing to the wall and you are being demanded to be fight back. Then only you became entrepreneurs. Say the universities are being closed for a long time, people became entrepreneurs. Certain tuition masters, certain people who are being in entrepreneurial ventures are people came into the particular entrepreneurial ventures because of those crises and accidents in life. Then there are strikes. There was a kind of major famous strikes in 1980s, which was being like eliminated most of the people from their government jobs. And some of them became very successful business people and entrepreneurs later, which they never will be explored if they will not be facing a strike. So in my perspective, if I've been looked at it in business management as well as learning development angle, I'll be thinking about your particular unemployment for 3 years as a blessing. Because the fact that it presses you to the wall and demands you to think more and think some other alternative ways. So that gives you a kind of a pressure to be entrepreneurs. Because in Sri Lanka, you need a kind of a pressure to do something. So that pressure comes in that. So at least from that angle, think of it, because when the time that you are being coming out of the university, maybe the situation might be changed. You will be get the job next day itself. Or may not be the same case. You will be like having the same problem. Even if so, if you are being having entrepreneurial vigor, there are many ventures open for you. So Ayurvedic graduates, if they are being preferred to be employers, it's the choice that they can make. So to think about the entrepreneurial pathway, one thing what we have been lack of, probably the decision makers as well as the particular academic high positions need to be looked at, is there are so many degrees in Sri Lanka who does not have any managerial subjects in it, which any profession you are in, after one particular level of life, you need to be practice certain managerial tasks. So you need to acquire certain managerial skills. So it is, I think, salient as well as a kind of an intelligent way of being introducing these subjects in your own small way. I think the career guidance unit has been doing that task, but even to be incorporate such kind of subjects as electives or whatsoever the form is something which is very much feasible for you to be entrepreneurs. Even not, there are so many other options. Even you go online, there are so many free courses. These days, you don't need to be dependent on your education institute itself for learning. No. So there are many free courses available which hones your management skills. Probably the planning skills, the decision-making skills, marketing, leadership, finance. Those are little bits and pieces needed in an entrepreneurial journey. So if you are being exposed to that, along with the particular Ayurvedic hard skills and the particular technical subjects of yours, you will be automatically expanding your particular thinking capabilities in the entrepreneurial path. So that is something I think you need to be looked at and thinking. At least read a little bit of marketing or be registered Sri Lanka Institute of Marketing's programs or something like that. Gives you a kind of a brief understanding of how this particular world works, how this particular business world works. And then planning skills, the leadership skills and all. Because there's no whatsoever thing called that entrepreneurs are born. They are actually very much be able to be developed. That's why there are so much of entrepreneurial development, learning happening all over the world. So it is not nothing that you are being inherited. It is something that you can develop within your learning. So very much within that 6 years, while you have been learning the particular core subjects, if you will learn a little bit of managerial skill, that will definitely help you. Even you are not being an entrepreneur, once you have been growing in your profession, those managerial skills will come in handy. And then there are entrepreneurial skills which we have been looking at. Managerial skills is one angle. The technical skills, I think you have been already having: research and development, environmental, the particular subjects, the particular industry understanding and all these things. Along with that, the disciplines, the innovativeness, the particular persistence, those kind of things are the particular attitudes. In learning and development, we are talking about 3 things: ASK, attitude, skills and knowledge. So managerial skills are more or less knowledge plus little bit of more or less skills plus little bit of knowledge. And then the attitudes comes in this particular entrepreneurial element. But by and large, when you expose to such environment, it works for your benefit. So introducing such subjects, and in Sri Lanka, there are 2 master's programs in entrepreneurship, one in University of Moratu and the other one in University of Jawaharlal. I think because I being teach last 10 years in the Columbia University's Master of MBA program, Master of Business Administration program, I see a lot of allopathic medical doctors right now doing MBAs. And they are actually doing business management degree program. But unfortunately, last 10 years, I might be teach every year about say 100 to 200 MBA students in my subjects. I didn't interfere, I didn't been introduced to a single Ayurvedic graduate. Maybe there are in other MBA programs, but unfortunately, I didn't see any of them for last 10 years of my time. So that sees that there is a kind of a lack of understanding or lack of importance or lack of motivation towards learning of that nature. Why University of Moratuwa, which has been producing engineering graduates, are being having a department to learn them entrepreneurship, is a question that you need to look at, because the engineers like you all is a kind of very technical hardcore profession. Earlier they are considered as employees, but you see right now most of the engineers became employers themselves. They are the construction company owners, they are the people who have been owning designing firms and all sort of things. If that been introduced into the particular say other kind of areas, even the biological sciences and all these areas, bits and pieces of managerial skills, that will actually expand the thinking capability and the entrepreneurial vigor of the people. So that's something which we need to look at. So to give you some glimpse of the entrepreneurial mindset, I've been trying to use some kind of census statistics in Sri Lanka. So if you think about Sri Lanka, I think it is evident and everybody knows our population is what? Larger segment of our population is getting older, or say they are 40s and over. So during the period covering 2010 to 2040, Sri Lanka's population will increase moderately by about 9% from 20 to 22 million. During this period, the elderly population, 60 and above, will increase from 2.5 million to 5.3 million by 100%, or doubling the elderly population in every 30 years of time. That means, say in future, you see more older people in our society than younger people. This is a kind of phenomenon happening in the developed countries as well. But Sri Lanka is also an exceptional South Asian country, which has very high amount of older population. So if you think about entrepreneurial mindedly, what happened? When people are being growing older, what happened? When you have been seeing that most of the people are older than you and you are also old, like say you are also old, over 40, but you see a lot of 60s people. Then what do you feel? You feel comparatively what? Younger. But your physical health and the capabilities are declining. You are not being like say physically young, but you are mentally young. Then what you do? You are doing all the possible things to being younger. That's where this entire particular elderly care industry and the elderly beauty care industry has been growing. So if you go into the market right now, how many anti-wrinkle creams have been there in the market? How many cosmetic surgeries are being available for the people, and how many people have been doing it? How many like say skin cleaning and all these kind of aging skin renovation or restoration programs are being available. So this is the market which entrepreneurs are being prospering. And in future, whatever said and done, if you may repair the body through the particular chemical means and the Western whatsoever the formulas, it has its own massive amount of side effects. Then people are converted into what? Ayurvedic healthcare, Ayurvedic beauty care, and Ayurvedic oral care and such kind of industries. So it is extremely growing market, which is very feasible for Ayurvedic medical graduates. On the other hand, when the population is being growing older and older, you need palliative care, you need geriatric care, and all these kind of things in place, right? So the treatments for older people in a better and a more humanitarian way can be done through Ayurveda. And it's a holistic kind of science. So there is a kind of massive business around it within Sri Lanka, which is still mostly untapped. And you know, like say our the over 40s population are very much invaded with non-infectious diseases, and they are being continuously treated through Western medicine and being provenly failed to get out of it and getting so many other kind of side effects and things like that. Then that creates a massive market, but you need to brand it properly. You need to make it like say in par with the international levels, and you need to do it in a quality and a standardized manner. And those things are actually the things that you can combine. On one angle, the marketing, management and all. On the other angle, the Ayurvedic talents. So if not what you can think of, you can be one of them. Say that average graduates, when they are passing out from universities, are at least reaching about 27, 28 and 30s. And if you are being like having unemployment for 5 years and all those kind of things, and you are adding the particular number of attempts you did the A-level, probably you will be reaching very early 40s once you've been passed out and waiting the time that you get the first job. So you are growing older before become rich in one night, if you think, and going on to the traditional path. Right? But on the other hand, if you have been planning to tap this market, planning to be like serving this market, you can become rich by serving the olds. So that is how entrepreneurs have been thinking. This is just a kind of a maybe little ironical example, maybe a little harsh I am on be like putting this example in place. But at the same time, this is how the world works. So becoming rich by serving all, because this is the phenomenon happening in the country, is very much in the hands of the Ayurvedic graduates in future. You want to do it or not is up to you, or you can also be one of those olds without becoming rich. So that's actually the last slide of my presentation. So within this session, what I covered is the particular, say, Ayurvedic graduates context. That means how their academic context, plus what kind of demands they have been having in traditional and non-traditional pathways. And larger part of my presentation, I'll be like, say, trying to explain you how important this entrepreneurial pathway in your future, and to show you some examples how this pathway has been growing. So this session is consisting on those parts. So over to you all. If you want to be clarify something, if you have any questions, please feel free to ask those questions.
Dear students, you can use the chat option to ask questions if you have, or else you can reserve the questions and come up with the questions in the next session as well, because he will be doing 4 sessions starting from today.
Yes.
So Any questions? Some students complain of having thundering and raining everywhere, so they may be facing problems as well.
Yes.
Yeah. But we are sharing the recording as well, so I think the missing parts they can catch up with the recording.
And some of them I see that in the chat option they are asking few questions, asking whether I can share these PowerPoints. Definitely yes. I will share it along with Dr. Manori, and then I think you can do the needful of sharing it with the rest.
Yes, I will share it.
So you can reserve your questions for the next session if the climate conditions are bad, as well as I think now the time comes to 7:30 itself.
Yes.
So in next session, we are talking about Ayurveda and its role in tourism, which gives you some kind of deep understanding how tourism industry works and how it connects with Ayurveda. And then you have, in my slides, I do give you my email address. Please feel free to drop a mail if you do have any questions, so I can be able to answer you through email as well. So that's it from my side, and thank you very much. And let's hope that we have a better and interactive session next time itself. Thank you, Manori, Dr. Manori, for all the coordination.
Dr. Peshala, over to you, Doctor.
Yes, thank you so much, Mr. Buddhikaheva Vasam, for sharing your experiences and very interesting ideas regarding health tourism and opportunities and potentials for Ayurveda graduates in the health tourism field and entrepreneurial pathways and other lot of valuable ideas. And definitely it is an eye-opening speech for our graduates. Looking forward to have you in next webinar also. So I think it is time to wind up the session. Before that, I will take this opportunity to thank our director, madam, and especially our guest speaker, and also our sectional heads, Dr. Susantha Molligota, madam, and Professor MSM Shifa sir, and all other academic staffs, and staff of IT section, and all the participants. And dear students, hope to see you in next Friday, same time, in next webinar. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Dr. Peshala. Thank you very much. Have a nice day to all of you. Thanks.
Have a nice day. Thank you very much.